Let's make a fun fancy fold card using the Heirloom Arrangement Kit. We are going to be using a piece of pecan pie, and you want it to be 4 1/4 wide, but you want the full 11 inches tall. It's very important because it's going to be made that way. So 11 inches tall by 4 1/4 wide. You are going to be using some of, actually quite a bit of the ephemera. So let's take a look at the items that we're going to be using. On this sheet, there is a pink little kind of a bluebell. We're going to be using that. We're also going to be using this sprig of flowers along with this one included. So 1, 2, 3 from this sheet. We are going to be using some of the other ephemeras. I've already poked them out already because they are kind of a little bit on the sheet by themselves. I'm going to be looking for the little butterfly that kind of flies on the side. This is a piece of vellum. It's a fern piece of vellum, and the 2 flowers that are just by themselves like that. So we want those 2. And for the sentiment, we're going to use one of the little circles. What we also want to have are 2 of the envelopes, and they are going to be opened up, and we're going to be using the inside. So I'm just going to carefully open up this envelope, and we're going to be using the inside, this piece right in the center. What we're going to do first is we're going to take a look at the piece that is 4 inches wide, which is our cardstock by 11 inches tall. So first what we have to do is to do some scoring. We are going to score this at the following spots: 5 1/2, 7 1/4, 9 inches, and 10 3/4. And this will be scored on the long way. So we're going to have it the long way. And I'm going to put it in here, and we're going to score it at 5 1/2. Okay, I'm going to open up the arm. Oops, where'd our numbers go? I'm going to score it at 7 1/4. So I have it scored at 5 1/2. 7 1/4, I'm going to slide it down. I'm moving to the 9 inches. And 10 3/4. I'm going to get my bone folder, and I want to fold these all up. I'm just going to pop those over there so that you can see. So there is the 5 1/2, 7 1/4, 9, and a very, very small 10 3/4. And all I'm going to do is fold it over and burnish it on that side. And what we're going to be making is like a little square. And there is a very small edge on the end. So that what happens is this will all roll up onto itself, onto the card, like a little square like that. For myself, what I find the easiest, so I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to fold it here on the second score line. So there's the first one. I'm going to fold it on the second score line and have that little flap down. So what I'm going to do is actually add some glue dots. Because it's such a small little area, I don't want to get on some liquid glue. I think it's going to be a little bit too tough, but I'm going to add a lot of little glue dots. I'm going to roll them up and place them on that small little piece. And I'm going to do quite a few of them because I want to hold. In particular, pay attention, you want the ends to have the glue dots. So I have all the glue dots placed on. Now one of the tricks is, do you remember that second line? So there's that first score line. I'm going to look at the second score line. Fold it closed, and I have my glue dots on that little bit. And all I'm going to do is just fold it under and tuck those glue dots onto, and so it's touching onto that card base, and then it makes a perfect little square. Go, I can do it up and down, and it's a perfect little square, as you can see, just like that. The glue dots are very strong and they will hold really, really well. So those measurements for the score lines is 5.5, 7 1/4, 9, and 10 3/4. I'm going to place this off to the side. What we're going to do is decorate this. And remember, I had these pieces here. What I want to do is I need to cut some of these, and these are going to sit on this portion and here of the square. But right now they are too large, so I need to cut them down. So the one on the top is going to be cut to 3.5 by 4. So that's 4 inches wide by 3.5 tall. I'm just going to double check. It's already 4 inches. Let's see, 4 inches wide. Let's go, cut that to 3.5 inches tall. I'm going to double check. I'm going to bring that back in and find that it sits exactly in there with a nice square around. Perfect. I wonder if this piece that I cut off, my goodness, that fits almost exactly. So all I have to do is cut these pieces for this top part of the square. So there's the top. I need to cut the top square and the one that's facing me. And those two pieces will be 4 inches wide by 1.5 tall. Now, because I already cut one piece, it is almost exact. I just need to cut 4 1/2, and that'll be 1. Bring that in. Looks like I just need to take a small amount off. That's 4 by 1/2. There we go. Get that in there. And I just need to cut one more. Now, I can see that this portion of the top flap may be enough. Let's just double check. It is not quite enough, so I need to use the portion that's inside. I'm going to open this flap and fold that down to make a straight line. Hold on to this piece because you might be able to use it for another card. I'm going to open this up and then make this all nice and square. I'm going to cut off the excess and keep the rest of the envelope that is inside. So what I want to do is I need to now make this, I need to get one more piece that is 4 inches by 1.5. So what I'm going to do first is cut this at 1.5. I'm going to leave this for later for another piece of another card. I'm going to turn this and cut it at 4 inches. Now don't throw this little square away. Let's see what we can use that for later. Let's bring back in our card base just to double check. Look, that fits right on there exactly. Looks good. And that one fits right on top. These fit exactly in the space with nice areas around. Let's glue that down. Let's glue down the next two pieces. We're going to glue down the one on the top. And we're going to glue down the one on the front. If any of the corners come up, just stick a little glue dot underneath. We're going to bring in our ephemera packs. I'm going to lay them down so that you can see where they're going to be going. I'm going to take out the ones that is the little bluebell, and this is going to go on the top. And I'm going to have it so that it comes kind of up to the little top corner. I'm taking another one, the very long piece of flowers, and I'm going to be placing them on an angle, like so. I'm going to take the next bunch of little flowers, and I'm going to be placing them on top like this. This one in particular will be up on dimensionals. You'll notice that they kind of come together here, and it's not very pretty, but we will be covering that with a sentiment and a little flower. I also have my butterfly that is going to be going right here in this one space. There we go. We're going to have it as if he's flying in, and he will also be on dimensionals. What I'm going to do is I'm going to glue these pieces straight down. I'm going to add a little bit of glue to the ephemera pack flower. And I'm taking the bluebell and I'm going to bring it up as far as I can into that space on the right side. Again, a little bit of an angle ending right about there. I'm going to take the one that is the longest ephemera for the flowers and bring them in and have it go all the way to the corner, ending in the spot right here. I'm going to get my dimensionals and I'm going to place them on the back of the other little flower. Again, it is going to span, but it's going to be up on height. So I'm going to have that, and I'm going to offset it a little bit from that one that's flat. Again, watching to see where it ends. And it's, again, all the pieces come together right there. Let's get that butterfly up on dimensionals too. The variety of height gives a great design element to these cards. I'm going to have that go like that. Okay. What I could do now is I'm going to decorate the other areas, in particular the front here. I'm leaving the top, and I'm going to be decorating the front. So if this square is like this, this becomes the front. That is the top, like that. Or I can fold it like that, and I'm going to decorate. What I want to do is I'm going to bring a piece of that vellum fern, and I want it to span kind of all the way across. Now, if you want it shorter, you can cut it here and bring it down and have a little bit of space there. The little flowers that I had, I want to kind of end on the little fern part. I'm going to place it down, and I see this fern goes all the way across. For me, I think that's a little bit too much fern for that flower. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it right about there. And I can, if I cut it strategically, I can kind of lay it over and have it sit like that. Okay, and you'll notice it kind of blends together. And that's actually what I want to do. I'm going to get that, and I'm going to glue those down. Place a little bit of glue in some of the vellum spots, and the darker ones if I can. And I'm going to just pop that on there. I'm going to use a glue dot for the next portion of laying this piece of vellum on top because it's such a small area. I'm going to get a little glue dot and place it on the end of that little piece of fern. I'm going to lay it on top, and again, make it so it looks like it's one piece altogether. I'm going to take that pink flower, and you can kind of see where this kind of comes together. It's not very pretty, but I can hide that with placing a dimensional on that flower and have that flower span or cover over that area. And again, you can't even tell that it's two pieces kind of put together. I'm going to come back, and now that I have it all opened up like this, there's only two pieces that I have left. I have one flower that's left over and the circle for the sentiment. I'm going to find a small sentiment from this stamp set, and I'm going to just use the For You. It's a small one, and what I want to do is I'm going to place it up as high as I can go on the circle. So I don't want it just right here. I want to put it up as far as I can. I'm going to ink it up, and I'm going to see how far up on that circle I can get it. If you make a mistake, don't worry, you can flip this over. And I got it pretty close up to the top. That is fine. That's kind of where I wanted it. I wanted it a little higher so that I could add that flower. I'm going to take that flower and I'm going to tuck it kind of underneath, and I can kind of place it right there. So I'm going to put these, I'm going to actually angle this a little bit, and I'm going to have this flower and this sentiment up on dimensional. So I want this flower to sit right about there under the wording. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little glue dot or a piece of glue just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Put those two together. And what I'm going to do is add some dimensionals to the back of this. I'm going to pick that up. If it doesn't fit straight up and down, it's okay. I can turn it a little bit and have it offset. So I'm going to look to see where it ends and place it on. There we go. If you want to add a little design or a little bit of sparkle, I can add some Wink of Stella to that flower in particular, and this one on the front, or any flower that you like. If you have any embellishments, you can definitely add those in too if you like, but I think there's enough going on here by itself that it doesn't need any embellishments. If by chance you want to add something to the back, like a little piece of white paper for a note, you can add one onto the back just like that to say your sentiment, your happy birthday, your thank yous, or whatever you like. But I think this turns out really nice. It sits really well. And I like how the square kind of gives it some kind of dimension on that. I hope you enjoyed this one. I love working with just the ephemera packs.